Air Assault. Hello, friends, and welcome to Shero Coffee Chat. We hope you've had a great week, and thank you for joining us today. We've got a full cup ahead, so grab your Shero coffee, because we're taking a spin around the Shero resource table. Plus, we've got your chat, tip, and guest of the week. Let's give a big shout out to our host, Melissa Farmer-Hill, Army Combat Veteran, host of Shero Coffee Chat, and founder of the Shero Coffee Club, where we keep the world caffeinated and women veterans celebrated. And now, reporting for duty and ready to lead the conversation, Melissa Farmer-Hill.
Air Assault! Good morning, friends. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Shero Coffee Chat, where coffee meets conversation. I'm Melissa Farmer-Hill, a retired Army veteran and the founder of Shero Coffee Club, where we keep the world caffeinated, women veterans celebrated, and she-worlds of the world elevated. Yes. Now, if you're drinking coffee with me, are you drinking coffee with me? Then, I hope that it is my wish that that you're drinking Shero coffee, right? And if coffee's not your thing, because I understand everyone doesn't drink coffee, we've got teas now too. Yes, we've got luxury teas now too. So either way, we got you covered. And you can find it all at sherocoffee.com. Yes, let me put that little banner up there. Yeah, that's where you can find it at. You can find it at sherocoffee.com. And listen, I'm not here to convince you to drink coffee or tea. You know why? Because I already know that you do. I just want you to drink with purpose from here on out, all right? And Shero coffee and Shero Metro tea is the only way you can do that every day. So while you're sipping whatever's in your cup, come on, let's get into it. I hope your weekend is going well and that you are thoroughly and enjoying it. Last week we're recording from Atlanta. This week we're in Orlando, and who knows, you guys, who knows what will be next week, right? The only thing I want to say is we outside, y'all. It's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? It's like, where in the world is Melissa Farmer-Hill? And who knows where we'll be next week, right? But that's not why you're here. So let's really get into it. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is yes. This is a Shero Coffee Chat. This is our veteran check-in, right? This is a Shero Coffee Club Veterans Chat. This is like our check-in. And since it's our check-in, and if you're watching and you're a veteran, and if you're a veteran, I want to say thank you for your service. Yes, there are, three things really that I want to get into today. I want to talk about, and I want to start with one simple question, right? And that question is, how many medications has the VA prescribed to you? And let me ask this too. Do you take medications on top of that? Because I know sometimes I get into Dr. Berg and I'm like, oh, I need vitamin B and I need this and I need that. Because I do watch Dr. Berg, Dr. Axe, all the doctors, right? Because we're always looking to improve our health, So how many medications or supplements or vitamins do you take on top of your prescription drugs, the drugs that the VA or your doctor has prescribed to you, and then maybe you add a little something to it, like your own little medical cocktail, and and taking that right along with your prescriptions. Let's pause right there because I said a mouthful. So we're talking VA prescriptions on top of maybe supplements and vitamins and things like that, things you think that will enhance your health. And I know me, I used to make my own little cocktail because I had sinus and allergy. So it was Benadryl and it was Aleve D and it was taken together. And I would wake up feeling great, not knowing that those things were tearing down my body. On a daily, I was taking them, tearing down my body, right? So I want to talk about veterans being over medicated, and the over medication crisis. Now, if you're a veteran and you know, like, this don't pertain to me, but let me just let you know that this conversation still matters, right? And so what I want to get into is there was a panel that I found on YouTube. I think the company was the Inner Compass Initiative, and they had a mental health conference where two veterans, they really talked, and they're advocates too. They talked openly about being over medicated, and one of them was a veteran named Angela Peacock. Oh my goodness. If you I'll drop the link in the chat, but she shared something that was crazy, and today I want to share it with you. I'm going to play that clip. Now, this is her personal experience, so let me just find this clip so I can play it for you, so you can. I want to know if you got the same reaction that I did. Hold on, let me share my screen. All right, here we go. Let's see. Let me play it.
It was 40 medications in 13 years, 18 at the same time.
I got to play that.
I think that's going to be an important conversation.
I've got to play this again. Let me let you guys hear what she said.
The veteran community.
Hold on.
Community.
All right. So for me, it was a personal experience. It was 40 medications in 13 years, 18 at the same time. And there was a little voice inside of me, my inner compass, to continue the theme, that was saying something is wrong. I don't know what it is. I have to figure this out. And I didn't know it was the medicine.
Did you guys hear that? Like, did you hear that? She said 40 medications over 13 years, 18 at the same time. 40 medications over 13 years, 13 years, 18 at the same time. Now, how many of you are doing that right now? Or something close to it? Some of you can't even fathom, because some of you don't even like taking medicines, right? I mean, and I know for sure that there are so many stories out there like that. This is not a one-off. You know, a study found that about 2 out of 3 veterans were prescribed at least one medication that basically did the same thing. And then another one, another one was some of the medications that they were already taking, right? So they were already taking these medications, and then they were given prescriptions that basically did the same thing. Say what? Yes, I said it. Now, the first thing I don't want us to do, let's not, go with our fire and our pitchforks and blame the VA, right? Because, I mean, in all honesty, when you look over the history, the VA has come a long way, and they are, well, at least it appears to me, they are doing things to improve the medical health for patients at the VA. So shout out to VA. But the reality is medications can get complicated, right? Healthcare can get complicated, and those medications just can stack up quickly and quietly. And before you know it, boom, you're taking 18 medications all at the same time, right? Just think about that. That is a lot. I just really, man, that's hard to get over. but I gotta say, the body is truly wonderful. It's truly wonderful to be able to take in all of those drugs, and then depending on what you're eating and things like that, your lifestyle, and still survive. I mean, I think it's such a blessing, but we cannot sustain that, right? Just like you'll find out Angela couldn't sustain that. So, here on the Shero Coffee Chat, we always want to move from awareness to action. It is so important that in your life you move from awareness to action. Don't just know, do something about it if that's what's been placed on your heart to do. And so, yeah, there's always work to do when you move into action. So here are 3 things that I wanted to share with you that you can do. Let me find it. There you go. There you go. So here are 3 things that you can do. First, you got to stop and look at the whole picture. I am not a medical doctor, so I am not telling you to stop taking your medications. But what I am telling you to do is say, hey, pull all those medications, even the supplements, even your little medical cocktails that you might be making for yourself. So pull all of that together and take a look at the whole picture before you add anything new. You need to be asking your primary care physician for a full medical review. Yes, a full medical review. That's what I want you to do. And I want you to ask the questions, what is this for? Can I take it with this? How do they mix? Actually, it might be a pharmacist. At any rate, schedule your appointment with your primary care. She or he might tell you to go to your pharmacist and let them do what they know how to do. You need to see that whole picture. So that's the first thing. Okay, let me take a sip. This is good stuff. Over medication. Over medicating. That's what we're talking about. This over medication crisis among veterans. And this isn't something that just popped up, man. And like I said, we've come a long way because remember, we didn't even have systems that talked. So that's a good thing. All right. Now, the second thing, I want you to see more of that and less of me. There you go. The second thing I want you to do is you got to stay a part of the conversation, right? Don't just take the prescription and just, go on with your life. If you do not understand something, or if you don't understand why you're taking something, that's not the time to nod in agreement. You have to advocate for yourself. You are your first advocator. All right. Speak up. Tell your doctor, I don't understand this. Why am I switching meds? Why am I being given this? You need to definitely stay a part of the conversation. Don't phone it in. Don't nod in agreement if you don't know what you're doing and what they're talking about. All right, you guys see, I do want to take a sip. This is good stuff. This is a medium roast today with a little bit of heavy cream in it, just the way I like it. No sugar, no stevia. That's just the way I like to drink my coffee most times. And then third, don't let medication be the only support. All right. I'm going to repeat that. Do not let medication be the only support, right? We're talking about whole health, right? I want you to ask about, are there any alternative medications? If you watched a couple of weeks ago, I talked about the virtual reality goggles that the VA was giving to help with anxiety and PTSD and things like that. I've been hearing that acupuncture is a part of some VA medical health systems now, stuff like that, right? But that's not the only thing when it comes to whole health. Don't forget our diet. Sometimes can play a large part in getting us to have less medications, exercise, even if you're immobile, there are exercises that you can do. Again, talk to your primary care physician. Don't forget the VA has the MOVE program and other programs. And then to remember that pills, they help the symptom, but they can't replace the connection or the whole health or the alternatives that, you have options to have. And that's why, I'm here to let you know that healing works best when medication is one part of the plan and not the whole plan, right? So let's let the goal be better care. And that's what I want you to remember. Yeah, they are out here. Let me remove that. They're you may be over medicated, and I just want you to be aware of that. Again, you should see that inner compass video. I'll drop the link. It is amazing. It's about 25 minutes, and they don't just go through that with veterans. They go through it's an entire conference. They talk about children and things like that. So yeah, it was really good. So what do I want to talk about next? Oh my goodness. So last week, you guys, I missed talking about, last week we talked about home ownership with Andre Hill, my husband, and we got into talking about multifamily properties, holding the government accountable, and just the crazy property tax that's going on in Chicago. And it was some good stuff. So it was so good, I missed talking about this second thing that I'm going to talk to you about here in the Shero Coffee Club Veterans Chat today. So this is about service dogs, right? So we've all seen service dogs, before. They usually are wearing a vest, and most of us know the rules. Don't pet them, don't distract them, because that is their job. They are working. So you don't want to interrupt their workflow. Just like you don't want anyone to interrupt your workflow, right? Now, that part most of us know. Now, what's not talked about is what's not talked about a lot is that there are actually different kinds of support dogs. Did you know that? And they do very different things. And that's usually where a lot of confusion comes in. Emotional support dogs, they help just by being there. So that's an emotional support dog there. They understand you. They know you. They know when you need support and help. I saw a video, and it was I think a woman was just having maybe an anxiety attack. I don't know what was going on, but the dog, her emotional support dog, knew. And I'm just getting welled up inside just thinking about it. And what he did, he jumped in front of her. He just stayed there, and he put like all his body weight on her until she came down and she was feeling better. So you know what? Shout out to some emotional support dogs, man. That is amazing. Just as I think about that situation. But like I said, the support comes from companionship. So for a lot of veterans, having a dog around helps with sleep, anxiety, routine, just feeling more grounded. Things we take for granted, things we take for granted that we don't have these issues, or some of us don't have these issues, and just helping you get through the day. So you might hear people talk about emotional ESA or emotional support letter. That's just simply a letter from a civilian healthcare provider that says dogs help with emotional or mental health. And it's often used for things like housing accommodations. When you rent an apartment. I was a leasing agent, and it said no pets. Well, these emotional support animals, remember, are there to help you emotionally get through the day, to make your day better. And so that's what it's for. I'm just getting all my words all bumbly. But when you rent emotional support dogs, you have that ESA letter, that's generally, an exception, and they'll let you in. But what's important to know is that the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs does not provide emotional support animals, and they don't issue ESA letters. Now, that is wild to me. Does anyone have a different story? Do they not issue those letters? And I guess with emotional support dogs, VA won't cover adoption, training, vet care for emotional support dogs. But that doesn't mean, emotional support dogs aren't helpful. Of course, we know, just like I explained to you in the story, that they can be incredibly helpful. They're just, I guess, not considered a VA benefit. Now, service dogs are different. A service dog is trained to perform specific tasks related to a disability. For veterans with PTSD or other mental health conditions, that might look like being interrupted in your sleep and having nightmares, waking up in cold sweats. You know how, for those of you who experience that, you know what I'm talking about. Help you grounding during a panic attack, just creating space in public to help you get through, or, just like, so I'm thinking now, even teaching myself, that might have been a service dog that I was referring to, just creating the space in public and helping regulate anxiety before it escalates. Now, these dogs are not just there for comfort. They are trained to work. That's why, when you see a vest, we don't distract it. Like I said, they're at work and we don't want to distract them. So here's another piece that often surprise a lot of people, that VA doesn't give veteran psychiatric service dogs either. Is that true? Is that true? I want y'all to talk to me. This is what I am finding out. So tell me, is that true? What VA can do is support a veteran who already has a fully trained service dog. Okay, there is the light at the end of the tunnel. Has a fully trained service dog, and things like, veterinary care, equipment, harnesses, and all of those things. Costs related to the training. Now, the dogs themselves almost always come from nonprofit organizations. Yes, that's why if you believe that you are in need of a service dog, I want to point out K9 for Warriors, and I do have their information here. There you go. Let's see, less of me and more of there you go. So there's K9 for Warriors and America's Vet Dogs, which you see right there on the screen. Now, these organizations train service dogs specifically for veterans with PTSD, MST, and TBI. So a lot of them, provide the dogs at little or no cost, but there is an application process and there's usually a wait list. And just so you know, these aren't the only organizations out there. There are organizations out there, but they're just simply like a solid place, you guys, to start if you've been wondering who to call or where to begin. And let me say this real quick. I love these organizations. I absolutely love these organizations. And just to see, again, I got to talk about how far we've come, that the VA is recognizing these challenges that veterans are having and getting the support you need, partnered with service organizations and things like that. So that is all I have. That was the second story. That's what I wanted to talk to you about last week after the interview with Andre, but I didn't get a chance to because I was just so wrapped up in what we were talking about. So if you have any information about emotional support dogs and service dogs and the difference and because I do not have an emotional support dog or a service dog. But if you have information, drop it in the chat, right? Because you know what, like I always say, when one of us wins, we all win. And I just want to make sure I'm getting some good information to you. All right, you guys, that's story number 2. And the last thing I want to talk about for Shero Coffee Chat, one second, let me take a sip. is, are you aware that there is new legislation being introduced right now that impacts veterans? And I don't know what you've been if you've been I don't know if you've been watching it, what's happening in the world lately, right? Especially right here in the United States. But I can tell you this with confidence. Right now, right now is not the time for you to be passive. And this is something I want to talk about, and this is something I'm going to talk about. It's something I want to talk about and I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about this more than one time this year because it's that important to me. And that is, here we go. I wish I had a drum roll. Let me see if I can find a drum roll for our last coffee chat story. Let me see if there's a drum roll. There we go. And that conversation is, I truly believe that we all need to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And you've heard the saying, there is strength in numbers, right? And that's not just a feel-good phrase. It's real. That's how change can actually happen. Now, let me just tell you guys something. Yes, I'm going to be talking about veteran organizations because I gave you the drum roll without telling you what it was. It's veteran organizations. But on January 15th, new veterans legislation was introduced. And without getting caught up in all the legal language, the heart of it is this. It's about making sure veterans actually understand their benefits, know their rights. They aren't left guessing when dealing with the VA, things like, knowing what health care you're entitled to, knowing the benefits you qualify for, knowing what your options are, instead of like sometimes feeling lost and confused, just like we are. And like I said, you are your first advocate. So, but guess what? Congress is recognizing that. These are some basic things, but these are things that a lot of veterans still struggle with, right? And here's the part where, I want people to understand legislation on Capitol Hill, it doesn't just happen on its own, right? It doesn't just come because, someone randomly decides, I think I want to care about veterans today, right? I don't know if you guys are part of Gen X, but we know how it goes. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I got as far as Capitol Hill. And if you don't know, what is it called? Rock something, School of Rock, or no, that's another show. But growing up, Gen X, we talked about how a bill becomes to a law, and it's in a song. Schoolhouse Rock is the name of it. But what I'm saying is it doesn't just randomly happen. It happens because veterans stay visible, they stay engaged, and they keep these conversations going. And that's where veteran organizations come in, you guys. This is why I always talked about the importance of belonging to a military or a veteran organization once you leave the military. And I'm not just talking for the fish fries or the events because there are so many organizations doing so many things. I'm talking about these specific organizations, not just for social connection, but for real representation. And there are groups like VFW, American Legion, DAV, AMVETS. They don't just support veterans in theory. They're not just social programs. They have a seat at the table, right? They have a seat at the table, and that's important. They testify before Congress. They help really shape the policies that affect our healthcare, like the GI Bill and different things like that. Long-term support. That's what these organizations do. Now, this is the kind of work between, having access to healthcare and being told to wait. Can you imagine? This is the kind of work that helps us keep VA hospitals without having to go to your civilian doctor who may or may not understand your PTSD or your MST or anything like that, right? I just think it's a difference between, being remembered and getting the care you need and getting the benefits you've earned and maintaining those benefits and being overlooked, right? Now, I'm not talking about anyone's personal situation, because I know there are still a lot of veterans that are fighting for benefits that they deserve or they feel they deserve. And the struggle is real. Don't get me wrong. But when you look across the aggregate of veterans, it keeps getting better. And there are some knockout punches that we have to go fight. It's that bigger picture is what I'm really trying to get you to see. When veterans belong to organizations, our voices are heard. When decisions are being made, when there are numbers behind us, people got to listen. That's power. That's power. And it's not just something that's overnight, but consistently, And I don't want to get into politics. I'm not about that, right? Red, blue, green, yellow. It does not matter to me. This is about, how are my veterans doing? How can we improve the benefits and the care for veterans? That's really what it's about, but it doesn't come by being passive. So, of course, I have a call to action for you today. If you are a veteran and you are not part of a local veterans organization, let me strongly encourage you to look into one. Join one that really aligns with you. Make sure you meet the qualifications and things like that. And, I know that American Legion, they take all veterans with honorable discharge. But, specific when you get it to VFW, there are different qualifications. But I want every veteran to be counted. And don't just say, oh, yeah, I just served for 3 years. That makes you a veteran with an honorable discharge. We got to protect our future. They're coming. All right. They are coming, right? They're not missing anybody's street. They are good drivers. And really, we not only just the veterans for now, but the veterans of the future. And that really matters to me. And that's why, I'm so passionate about it. But that is it. Join a local organization, become active in it. Don't be passive, or even if you want to be passive, at least get counted in the numbers. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, right? All right, you guys, this has been wonderful. We've got to have more of these Shero Coffee Club veterans chats, right? Even though the show is called Shero Coffee Chat. But I just want to thank you for watching. I just want to thank you for just being a part of Shero Coffee Chat. And I hope that you continue to watch. If this has been beneficial to you, please give me a like. If you have a subject that you want to talk about, if you want to be a guest on the show, we've got it all. We've got it all. And like I said, let's continue to honor women by drinking Shero coffee. And tea, right? This is not tea, but yeah. And I also want to say, join a veterans organization. It is so important, not just for the social connection, but for the legislation. These organizations have a seat at the table. And it's not just VFW, it's not just American Legion, it's not just DAV, there are other organizations as well. Find out. And when it comes to over-medicating, remember those 3 things. Here they are. Pause and look at the whole picture. Stay part of the conversation, and don't let medication be the only support. That is so important. All right. I enjoy doing this, you guys. It really is a blessing for me to just come and provide you with information, because when one of us wins, we all win. And I just want to thank you for being part of the Shero Coffee Chat today. I do hope you have a blessed week. And as always, keep sipping Shero and keep chatting. I will see you next time.
Hey there, thank you so much for hanging out with us on this week's Shero Coffee Chat. Don't forget, smash that subscribe button so you never miss what's coming next. And hey, make sure your weekday begins with Shero Coffee, where we keep the world caffeinated and women veterans celebrated. You can visit us at sherocoffee.com. We'll see you next week right here on Shero Coffee Chat, and have a blessed week.